The hilarious fear-mongering of Bill O'Reilly in this clip is just legendary. He is going to morph into the judgmental old grandpa that knows nothing about drugs, but has an opinion on them anyway. Listen.
Now with our lead story, is America becoming a weaker nation because of pot and internet abuse? Joining us from Washington, Mary Katharine, Juan Williams, both the Fox News analysts. All right, Juan, now I'm generalizing here, but primarily the left embraces the drug culture to some extent. That goes back to the 60s Vietnam era. Traditionalist conservatives, a little bit more skeptical, although people like Mary Katharine are the exception, and they're kind of in that thing. So it's not a really black and white issue like Obamacare. There is some bleed over. But let's begin with the left. What is it about the drug culture, the internet culture, that's so compelling for some of them?
Well, I don't think it's compelling, but I think that if you start to arrest their children and give them records and put barriers in front of their futures and their careers, I think people say, wait a second, as you said in the previous segment, this is soft drug use. Why are you arresting and giving this kid a record? Especially minority kids, disproportionately, they're the ones who get arrested.
Only dealers, Juan. There's no mass arrests of users. No, they get a ticket, Juan. They get a ticket.
I don't think that's right, Bill. And I think lots of people fear for their children. And by the way, you should know, it's not just liberals.
But you're thinking then people fear for their children, so they want to make drugs more available. Let's legalize them so they don't get a rap sheet.
I didn't say more available. I said, listen, a kid gets out there, the kid's involved with soft drugs by your own definition, gets arrested, suddenly record, all sorts of things that would inhibit his or her progress in life.
It's almost impossible. The records are expunged if they're juveniles.
Oh,
you know what the game is here.
This is not a crime
that is actively pursued by district attorneys. All right. I'm just going to discount that argument, Juan. Mary Katharine,
okay.
You're more sympathetic to this drug culture and internet culture world, but do you not see that it is going to weaken the country?
Yeah, look, I think anything that is not in moderation can be a problem. Does that mean it has to be outlawed?
No.
Moderation
for children? You think there's a moderation of using intoxicant?
Yeah, your parents. That's a good moderation that can jump in there and do something
moderation
about that.
means you use it once in a while. It's like a big jelly donut. You have one once in a while.
Right. Yeah, you can do that. When it comes to internet and pot, I use one of them for several hours a day, and I'm perfectly healthy. And look, I think when people look at this issue and they look at the drug war and they look at law enforcement and some of the issues that Juan brought up, they say, look, all right. Do we have a system that is working efficiently, that's treating people fairly?
You're both
and they say
taking
no,
into the criminal justice area.
But it'd be a whole lot cooler if we did, and that's where we are.
And that's not the issue here. Mary Katharine, you've got a baby. You want that baby to be smoking pot? Is it a he or a she?
Oh,
is it a he or she?
She, and I would rather she not smoke
When that
pot.
baby is 13, 14 years old, you want the baby to be smoking pot in moderation, do you?
That was the world's most obvious straw man. Mary Katharine, you have a baby. Do you want your baby to smoke pot? Do you want your baby to become a hooker and blow dudes in a back alley? Is that what you want, Mary Katharine? That's what you want, isn't it? Oh, Bill, you're so pathetic, man. That's what people do when they can't win the argument. Like, who's arguing for that? Is that what Colorado just did? They legalized marijuana, but added a provision that says, and we would especially like babies to smoke it. I mean, look, think about it with alcohol. Would he make that argument with alcohol? Sure, we could have legal whiskey, but do you want your baby drinking whiskey? You want your baby drinking whiskey, don't you? No, that's why we legalized it for adults only. It's such a sad argument when people hide behind the kids, right? We can't have any fun or any adult activities as legal activities because somebody's kid might maybe once 0.00001% of the time do something fucked up with it. Now, I had to keep jotting down shit there as Bill was talking because one thing was better than the next. What's up with this drugs and internet culture? I've never heard two, more random, disparate things linked together than that. But that's how, an old man thinks. He's like, oh, you kids with your Zima and your hula hoops and your Pokemon. That's what goes on in Bill's mind. Okay, Bill, here's how I'll answer your question. The drugs and internet culture, why is that a good thing? One word. Freedom. The American way. Should be able to do whatever you want to do as long as you're not hurting anybody else. Not that difficult to understand, dude. And then I I laughed at even the premise of the whole segment. Did you realize the question he kept asking? Well, don't you think this is making us a weaker nation? What does that even mean? It makes us a weaker nation. Like, so what? The goal as a nation is to just be as strong as possible? You know who's probably got some pretty fucking strong people in their nation because they go through a lot of shit? North Korea. Is that how strong we should be? We need to be so strong that we could, fight off starvation, living off a couple crumbs on a weekly basis. There's some strong motherfuckers over there. If we, you know what? Bill is right. If we banned the internet, we would be a lot stronger. Because we don't have to go to the library, walk 5 miles to get there in order to get basic information. Why is that like a desirable end to be as strong as possible? I mean, shouldn't there be a little mix of comfort in there? Shouldn't there be a healthy balance between being strong and comfortable? Or, I don't know, strong and psychologically balanced? But no, he's like, just be strong, because I'm like a Neanderthal. I want to be, yeah, that's the type of society I want, when everybody's really strong and they hate each other, but they break shit on each other's head, yeah. I mean, he sounds like a clown. And then the point about federal prisons, it's just a classic Bill O'Reilly swing and a miss on facts. He's like, they're like, Bill, the problem is that, we've locked up so many people in the nation. So many people are locked up now because of these ridiculous drug laws, and their lives are wasted. Not to mention the 60,000 people that died on the border in an actual, literal drug war. Not to mention the violent crime that goes up because the drugs are illegal. But Bill's like, no, it's not even a big thing with arresting kids and whatnot. What do you say? They get a ticket. They get a fine. What are you talking about? He just makes it up as he goes along. You want to know how I know that? 55% of the people in federal prisons are there for drug crimes. All 55% were heavy pushers, Bill O'Reilly? All 55%? Millions of people? Please, son. We have more people in prisons in the U.S. than Stalin did in his gulags at their height. No, we are locking people up for petty, nonviolent offenses, oftentimes for life because there's mandatory minimum sentences. So O'Reilly has no idea what he's talking about, but he's gotten to the point where he's not even like a threat in terms of his political commentary, because he's crossed the line from being like the berating father figure like he was in the late 90s and early 2000s. Now he's in league with Pat Robertson, of like the rambling old man at the Thanksgiving dinner table where everybody looks at each other and rolls their eyes when he starts to talk.